So what are we going to accomplish on the shed today, Shop Cat? Well, in the last step, we were putting these up, the fascia board for the overhangs, which I painted on the ground so I wouldn't have to do on the ladder. And I painted the edges too, both edges. That way, if I forget which side goes up, it doesn't matter. Before I put any more of that up, I need to finish the siding. And if you saw my video where I was painting, you see I was painting this siding while it was on the building because it's holding it up for me, making it easier. But I went ahead and painted that piece and that piece on the ground so it would already be painted when I cut it to fit up there. I got rained out in the middle of doing it, so today I'm dragging all the tools back out, including just a regular skill saw, the ball stitch nailer, this V4 air compressor, and the old Titan ladder. And here comes Tigger to get the job done. Now, it may not seem like the most efficient way to do things, but I like to cut one piece and put it up there before I measure for the second piece, and then measure and cut that next piece, because I'm not the best at cutting. One of the reasons why, if I'm doing woodworking and stuff, it's usually a big structure like a home addition or a shed or a porch or something big, because I'm not good enough to do cabinet work or furniture. I just can't get that kind of a precision cut. I have to go one piece at a time. The more complicated the piece is, the more I got to concentrate on just one piece at a time. Now, this is the most complicated cut I've got, and it's really not that complicated if you break it down. I've got 21 3/4 on this end. I marked 21 3/4. I got a cut on this end, and it's exactly the same because I've got a 12-foot wall, and that's nice because that puts this dead center on that wall, which means I can cut this the same amount as this, and I can measure 24 inches to the center here, which runs right along this line right here, which is already there for me, so I didn't even have to mark it. It's at 24 inches right there. That's the center. And because it's a 4/12 pitch and it's 24 inches from here to the center, 24 from here to the center, that's 2 foot. That means that on a 4/12 pitch, it rises 4 inches every 12 inches, which is 8 inches. So I add 8 inches to the 21 3/4, which gives me 29 3/4. Go from the bottom up here to 29 3/4, put a mark right there. So I can't really get the mark down in there, but I know the mark is actually down in there. Then, since it's only 24 inches, I've got a 4-foot level. I can use that for a straight edge instead of having to pull out the chalk line. And since I'm using a Sharpie for my mark, I'm marking just outside where my cut is, so I can cut slightly to the inside of the mark, leaving the mark on the scrap piece. Otherwise, I'd be turning my piece upside down and marking everything from the back. That mark's going to end up on the scrap piece. Even if some of this mark ends up on this piece that I'm using, there's a piece of trim that's going to go over the edge of this, and so if there's mark on it, you'll never see it. Let me show you this mistake I made so you won't have to. All right, I had cut that other piece off the other end, And so I didn't think long enough before cutting the other piece off of this end. Is what that did was that gave me this under edge over here and the over edge over there. But that's not going to work on this side of the building because that puts my under edge on the right side touching the other under edge. I'd already started with the over edge to the right here because that's the way this is. And I'm trying to stay consistent with this side so that it'll be nice and consistent up there. So that means I need the over edge to overlap this under edge here and my under edge to end up over there, which is not what I got when I went over here and cut the piece out of the other end. So I'm either gonna have to trace this out and cut it out of this part or go to my other piece, which I've only got one other piece. So I have to be careful. So let's look at this and see if I can use it on the other side. If the underside is on the right and the overside is on the left, then on this wall, yes, the underside is on the right and the overside is on the left, which means I can use that piece in the middle over here. Woo, that's good because I won't run out of material even though I made a mistake. I just can't afford to make any more mistakes, which means I need to think about it a minute and decide if cutting this out of this piece or cutting it out of that piece would be a mistake. So here's what I've decided to do. I measured from here down 21 3/4 and made sure I've got a 90 degree and made a mark so that this piece will end up fitting right there. The piece that I cut wrong for the other side is right for this side, so it'll do the middle. That only leaves me with needing one piece there and one piece right here yet to be cut. And this whole fresh 4x8 panel to cut it out of. Okay, here's another mistake I might want to try to avoid. I got up there on the ladder, couldn't nail it into place because it's cut wrong, and I'm checking it, and you can see this square I've got here reveals that I drooped low when cutting. And see, I've got this extra material here on this bottom right corner. So when I tried to set it in place, that bottom right corner was right over there, and that pushed the whole thing up, and it was sticking out the top too much. So I've got to cut some material off this bottom right corner, get a much cleaner cut. All right, remember this trim right here, there's gonna be a whole lot more of it because it's not only gonna be going up and back down over, but it's gonna go from there straight across, covering that seam, which doesn't look like much. It looks like, you know, maybe you could caulk it and paint it red and hide it, but then you get spaces like that. It's got a little gap. Plus, you wanna make sure, really sure there's no water intrusion behind there. And so a piece of trim's going over that. And I'll either be doing that, the trim, or I'll be building doors out of these two pieces to go right here in the next video, which will be in the corner. And in the other corner will be a link to the playlist from the ground up, the whole build.